praising her last night. Even Republicans, some Republicans, like, oh, that was a great speech. I thought, have you never actually seen an effective female public speaker? Like, they mistake energy or like enthusiasm for effectiveness. I mean, anyone can get up there and shout at you. She can shout at you. It doesn't make you a good public speaker. It was like an assault. It was, right? Don't you feel assaulted by what I just did? That's how I felt listening to her. AOC, okay? Her real name is Sandy Ocasio. This is what she went by her entire life, Sandy Ocasio. And only when she decided to run for office did she decide to suddenly become Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and lean into her Puerto Rican history, where her mother was born in Puerto Rico, but her father was born in New York City. And she decided to tell us sob stories about how she's from a poor family and she was living, paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, she was raised in a Tony part of Westchester called Yorktown Heights.
AOC's camp is on fire after Megyn Kelly set it on fire. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was criticized by her for her anti-American comments in widely shared videos. Yes, I do possess the receipts. So let's get started. Press the subscribe button and ring the bell.
AOC and see what she has to say.
Quick reaction
Top
on what's
five.
going on with Elon Musk and President Trump on Twitter right now.
Oh man, the girls are fighting, aren't they? I think this breakup we've been
Misgendered.
seeing a long time coming, but we'll see what the impacts are of it legislatively.
Okay. You're so cool referring to them as the girls. She's above it all, Ben. That's what she's trying to telegraph. You see, she's the adult in the room, the one out there who does a preacher accent. And she leans into her fake Latina accent. And like, she's the adult in the room.
Together, Trump and Elon Musk dealt the Democrats a devastating blow in the election last year. The DNC has been anticipating the dissolution of their coalition ever since. Through businesses like Tesla and Doge, Musk reportedly contributed $288 million to Trump's campaign and assisted in the recovery of billions of dollars in government spending. Therefore, Democrats like AOC couldn't contain their joy when the two got into a brief public argument. Megyn Kelly intervened just as they were about to rejoice. She cut through the excitement and put an end to the celebration with her incisive observations.
Her last night, even Republicans, some Republicans, like, oh, that was a great speech. I thought, have you never actually seen an effective female public speaker? Like, they mistake energy or like enthusiasm for effectiveness. I mean, anyone can get up there and shout at you. She can shout at you. It doesn't make you a good public speaker. It was like an assault. It was, right? Don't you feel assaulted by what I just did? That's how I felt listening to her.
Some people confuse AOC's loud, confrontational style for effective leadership. Fortunately, she is not Kamala Harris, but she does draw attention with her intensity, volume, and charisma. It seems as though someone urged her to bring the energy and shout the loudest, forget about the substance. And it worked for a time. She became more of a brand than a lawmaker as the media applauded and social media hummed. The problem is that charisma alone is insufficient to deliver results. All that's left is meaningless conversation after the cameras stop recording and the hashtags stop appearing. Results are what leadership is all about, and she's killing it in that regard.
Illinois state senator in 2004 made himself a star. That's what AOC was going for. That's what they all go for. They fail. There's only one Barack Obama. There will never be another Barack Obama. I'm sorry, find your own style. You're not good at imitation. Here was AOC's attempt, and pay particular attention to the fake accent that comes in toward the end.
In Kamala Harris, we have a chance to elect a president who is for the middle class because she is from the middle class. And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots of greed, trampling on our way of life. Ever since I got elected, Republicans have attacked me by saying that I should go back to bartending. But let me tell you, I'm happy to any day of the week because there is nothing wrong with working for a living.
I would like to know why some politicians, particularly Democrats, alter their accents in an attempt to appear more approachable. Do they genuinely believe that we are incapable of distinguishing between the real and the fake? During her campaign, Kamala Harris attempted the same embarrassing tactic of changing her accent according to the audience, but it didn't work out. People were able to see through it. No, Americans are not stupid. We can tell when someone is acting and when they are sincere. To connect, just be genuine and honest. Phony lingo is not necessary. Megyn Kelly even criticized AOC for attempting to equate herself to Kamala and doing the same thing. The irony is that both maintain a facade rather than being authentic while claiming to represent the middle class.
Harris, she understands the middle class because she is from the middle class. So Kamala Harris's dad was a professor at Stanford. Her mom had a PhD from Berkeley. So she may have grown up in a duplex because the mom wasn't rich and they got a divorce young, but that doesn't make her some sort of middle class champion. She's been making hundreds of thousands of dollars on the taxpayer dime ever since she got out of school. So I hate the rewrite. Like, she's actually not some poor, pull herself up by the bootstraps. It's like, you know how many actual working class people would love to have had parents with double PhDs, a respected, PhD scientist and professor at Stanford?
Some politicians would do anything to get votes, including changing their accent, fabricating a background, and posing as a member of the public. It's all a performance. They profess to speak for us, even though they have never lived like regular Americans. The majority are elites or career politicians, far removed from soaring rent, unstable employment, or costly medical care. They fly back to guarded houses and fancy jets after showing up for photo ops in work boots. They wouldn't have to pretend if they genuinely cared. They would take initiative and lead with integrity. However, expecting that from pretenders is unrealistic. Speaking of imposters, are you aware of AOC's true name?
AOC? Okay. Her real name is Sandy Ocasio. This is what she went by her entire life, Sandy Ocasio. And only when she decided to run for office did she decide to suddenly become Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and lean into her Puerto Rican history, where her mother was born in Puerto Rico, but her father was born in New York City. And she decided to tell us sob stories about how she's from a poor family and she was living, paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, she was raised in a Tony part of Westchester called Yorktown Heights. The single family home she grew up in was just sold in 2016 for $355,000. So it's not exactly, food stamp central. She went to Boston University. To hear her tell her story, you'd think she never even went to college, right? She was only a bartender. No, she went to Boston University and graduated with a BA in International Relations and Economics, and then spent some time as a waitress and a bartender.
It surprised me to learn that AOC's real name is Sandy. Something didn't feel right from the first time I heard her speak. As it happens, she changed her name to suit a political story. Give up on Sandy, adopt AOC, and create a brand that appeals to specific voters. It is well thought out and effective. She is not alone, though. A similar identity game was played by Kamala Harris. Although she didn't change her name, she adopted different personas based on the audience. After showcasing her Indian heritage one day and being proudly Black the next, she suddenly became accessible to working-class folks. It wears you out. Authenticity is what voters desire, not shapeshifters. Furthermore, it becomes more difficult to accept that there is anything genuine underneath politicians who frequently change their masks.
And in America did
Like
too.
who didn't?
I mean, literally, raise your hand if you had a service personnel job.
Oh my God, yes.
Right. All of us, all five of us. Hello. The difference is we don't run around asking for people to pat us on the back because we did it. It's called being a normal human. When you're young, you take those kinds of jobs, and even when you're older, sometimes you do, to pay your bills. This is called being a normal human, not, oh, woe is me, I worked as a waitress. And I'll get to some of what she's saying around that. But that's her story. Now she makes almost $200,000 a year as a U.S. Congresswoman and is still pretending that she's on her waitress salary.
There you have it, then. AOC isn't the struggling bartender she enjoys playing. despite all the acting and working-class costume. Her comfortable lifestyle is a long cry from the lives of those she purports to represent. And C, standing up for others doesn't need you to be ostracized. However, you also shouldn't have to pretend. That is manipulation, not empathy. Regardless of your background, people will listen to you if your message is sincere, your policies are sound, and your motives are pure. However, trust begins to erode when your entire brand is based on a misleading picture. Because acting isn't what leadership is all about. It all comes down to being truthful, reliable, and brave enough to be who you are.
You could have mass appeal. I mean, right now she's polling at, I think, 5% or under in the national polls of who should be the Democratic nominee amongst Democrats. Kamala Harris is some 36%. She's at the top. AOC does have name recognition, but is nowhere near the top. She's at the bottom. But you think this person who is far, far left in her politics, notwithstanding her Green New Deal, where she wants to get rid of hamburgers, actually has a shot?
It doesn't surprise me that AOC gets attention. She knows how to operate the camera and is noisy and ostentatious. However, she continues to rank near the bottom in terms of actual political influence. The media's deceptive tactics are beginning to be exposed. They're interpreting things differently than they did with Kamala Harris. Do you recall when Kamala's popularity was at an all-time high? When voters sought substance, the hype, the throng, and the headlines all diminished. Before a single primary vote, she left the race. Popularity without substance is short-lived. Even while AOC might be popular right now, the real concern is what will happen when the euphoria subsides. Not much thus far.
High name recognition. She's very good on television. I don't think she's particularly intelligent or has anything interesting to say, but that doesn't seem to be a prerequisite for running for president these days at all. So, yeah, I think she's more formidable than currently advertised. And she may be too far left for the American people. I certainly think that she is. I think the entire Democratic Party is. But economic downturns have peculiar effects, which is why I'm very much focused on, like, the Trump administration needs to focus first more than anything else, right? They did a great job on the border. They've already turned the border from the #1 issue into like the #5 issue because they shut down all illegal immigration at the border already.
To be honest, I agree with most of what Ben Shapiro said about AOC. Sure, she's loud and self-assured, but she rarely contributes anything meaningful. It frequently feels more like a show than a policy when I hear her speak in Congress. However, there is one thing that I disagree with, the notion that a presidential candidate does not need brains. It really is. Being a leader requires more than just charm. It also requires good judgment and critical thought. Kamala Harris didn't connect because of this. The absence of genuine, insightful responses was just as problematic as the robotic delivery. Voters took notice. Intelligence is a must when aiming for the highest post. It's very intriguing that Bernie Sanders would say this. Trump's hardline border posture drew constant criticism for months. Democrats joined demonstrations, criticized ICE, and called the enforcement agency cruel. What nobody discussed, though, is that forceful strategy saved lives and assisted in the fight against fentanyl trafficking. Sanders and other left-leaning politicians are now adopting more moderate border views. The Trump effect is that he shifted the topic of discussion and made everyone confront reality. You can tell something's working when even opponents begin to sound realistic. And it's not just one party that benefits from this change from political theater to plain sense. It's a national victory. Please remember to use the like and subscribe buttons if you liked this video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you soon.